ॐ नारायणः परो व्यक्तात् अण्डमव्ययसम्भवम् अण्डस्यान्तस्त्विमे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनी ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 We are in verse 67, I think. Yes. So we saw in 66, we saw that the as long as the indriyas means the sense organs, as long as the indriyas are not trained, and as long as the buddhi is not trained to respond to situations with some restraint, with some measure of discipline. And as long as the buddhi is not doing that, and as long as one is not trained oneself to desire Atmavidya, as long as the jignasa for Atmavidya has not been fueled, then there is no peace. Shanti is not there. That is what we saw. And in verse 67 also, that same thing continues, answering the question that Adi Shankara asks, Ayuktasya kasmat buddhihi na asti. So for the one who is not together, for the one who is not disciplined, how come the person, how is it that the person is not spiritually inclined? What happens? We saw that beautiful example of the boat being capsized in the middle of the troubled waters. The troubled waters is symbolizes samsara, and the boat. What is the boat? The boat is oneself and one's resolve to study the buddhi. So, this is what the verse 67 says. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano vidhiyate tadasya harati pragyam vayurnavami vambhasi vayuhu navam iva. Just as the wind in the just as the wind for a boat in the waters, harati, just like the wind capsizes the boat, upturns, overturns the boat. In the same manner, the sense organs, after which the mind also has gone, and the sense organs followed by the mind, similarly takes away the desire for the knowledge. If one is at the beginning of the quest, and it takes away what? It takes away the even the fledgling knowledge if one has already started the quest. Bhashya. Indriyanam hi yasmat charatam swasva vishayeshu pravartamananam yat manah anuvidhiyate anupravartate tat indriya vishaya kalpane pravrittam manah asya yatehe harati pragyam atma anatma vivekajam pragyam nashayati. So the yasmat means this is how it is, because what in the he here is yasmat indriyanam hi charatam, the he is because. So Where is the because? Suddenly you can't start a sentence with because. We have studied this in grammar school, in elementary school we have studied. You can't start a sentence with because. Well, you can here because it is connected to the previous sentence and it's answering the question, how and why does the buddhi of the person who is not disciplined, how does the buddhi go awry? That's the question it answers. And so here, indriyanam hi charatam. Charatam means moving. And Adi Shankara helpfully explains where it is moving. Swasva vishayeshu. The eyes are moving in their arena of shape and form. They are getting allured, they are getting attracted to every single form and shape and color, and to the extent of just forgetting. And the mind also follows to the extent of just forgetting its own sankalpa, its own intention to study, and its own resolve. It forgets. Okay. And then swasva vishayeshu. Similarly, the ears, go after all kinds of sounds and are easily distracted, we can say. And the likewise, all the sense organs are going in their own and moving in their own directions and doing all kinds of things. And then what? So, swasva vishayeshu, in their own vishaya, pravartamananam. Pravartamananam is moving around and enjoying the world of anatma. There is no wrong done. If the world of anatma is enjoyed as a manifestation of Brahman, Bhagavan, and if the whole world is Ishwarized, as we have seen many, many times, then there is no problem at all. Then, you are seeing the color, the form, and everything, and enjoying it as a manifestation of Ishvara. But if that tattva, if Ishvara tattva is not there, if that awareness that all this is Brahman is not there, then one thinks of the name and the form as absolute, not relative, not mithya. So that viveka has gone, and one thinks of it as absolute, and then one is absolutely deluded. So then yat manaha anuvidhiyate anupravartate. So indriyani pravartante, manaha anupravartate. So indriyani, so the first sense pravartante, the sense organs go and move around, and then what? Then the mind follows. Tat indriya vishaya vikalpane pravrittam manaha. So indriya vishaya vikalpa, vikalpana, indriya vishaya vikalpana. Vikalpana means various kinds of choices. Should I do this or should I do that? Should I go here or should I go there? All these choices become real when that which is real is not chosen. So it goes back to that topic earlier, which we discussed at length, which is what? Mm, Purushartha Nishchaya. What is Purushartha Nishchaya? Purushartha Nishchaya is nothing other than the ascertainment of what I really want. Out of the four Purusharthas, even though we say four, there is actually only one, because all the other three culminate in the fourth one, which is the only one. And what is that called? Moksha. I want freedom, that is the thing. And if I want freedom, then it should be clear from what? From having to be and having to remain a seeker. From having to seek all the time, I want moksha. I want moksha from being a seeking, wanting person. I can't afford to be a seeking, wanting person anymore. And so, therefore, I want moksha from that. I want moksha from relentlessly pursuing all kinds of various ends, thinking that it is the end. I want to stop pursuing various ends. Each end I go to, I think, oh, okay, my search is coming to an end. Here is where I stop. Here is where I will do this. I'll be free here. No. And then again I get ready to search relentlessly, and then not knowing how to search, where to search, and most importantly, what to search for, I get embroiled in the in the activity of the sense organs and go for anatma. Anatma ultimately is Atma. Please understand that. But still, on the level of the everyday, there is um, some kind of a um, split in the heart. Anatma, Atma. So therefore, in the beginning, that's why we make a difference between Atma and Anatma, and then therefore we have to choose the Atma. That is what is called Purushartha Nishchaya. Purushartha Nishchaya means having a strong and a complete ascertainment, and with a certainty that action cannot lead me to knowledge. Action binds, knowledge frees. Action binds me to experience the results of actions repeatedly. Repeatedly, I keep pursuing the results of action. When all the time I'm keeping on pursuing the results of action, and then what happens? Then, therefore, I am I am flummoxed. I am totally flummoxed, and then the results of action not being satisfactory most of the time. Most of the time, I don't get what I want. And even if I get, I want to edit, abridge, and make something happen there. And so I want to edit that action again and do a 2.0, 3.0. I want to do a redo. I want to do a redo. So therefore, this is exactly the problem. And so what happens here is that the resolve gets shaken up. If the resolve to study about the self, to study self-knowledge, Brahma Vidya, Atma Vidya is weak. And why would it be weak? Because I don't understand the connection between sadhana and sadhya. I don't understand the goal. That's why I go goal, round and round, because I do not understand the goal. And since I do not understand the goal, somehow I catch on to the Atma as a default, because nothing else is working, because all my friends are in this into some kind of spiritual growth and knowledge, etc. So in the moment I also went along. I thought it was a good idea. So here, the ascertainment has not come from the resolve, from the buddhi, which is the seat of the resolve. The ascertainment is shallow. The ascertainment has been spurred by various external situations, such as some disappointment, a chronic illness, a loss. So this is a kind of a temporary vairagya. One becomes, the Shastra says this. So the Shastra says the temporary superficial vairagya called Shmashana vairagya means the vairagya that is gained at the funeral grounds. Funeral grounds, meaning somebody dear to you dies or unfortunately succumbs to something, or even you may not know that person, but like you hear in the in the news. Like, for example, we had a terrible train accident, 3 trains colliding and derailing. 280 people all of a sudden gone, so many children, everything. So, seeing these kinds of pictures and seeing the news, reading the news, one has this kind of a vairagya. What's the point in life? Oh my God, I'm wasting my time, and I really, this is terrible. And this may happen to me. This, I mean, very naturally, because we relate to the news in this way. This may happen to me. So I have to save myself from this. And Atma Jnanam, here I come. So, but this is again a weak resolve spurred by external situations. So that is one kind, that is one kind of a situation that can bring one to Vedanta. The other one is if one becomes a what is that called? If one becomes a Nashtarajya. Nashtarajya means the one who has lost the kingdom. So if you have lost the kingdom, how are you a king? You can't call yourself king, queen if there is no kingdom. So similarly, king is upalakshana, but it can mean some empire has been lost. Anything that you thought was your identity and your realm of play in the world has gone. So nashta rajya, or there is a chronic illness, dirgharogi. One is having a chronic illness, and sometimes that also brings one to Vedanta. But the resolve, even after studying Vedanta, the resolve has not, studying Vedanta means even after some exposure, the resolve has not strengthened. The resolve is still weak. And so for that, indriya vishaya vikalpane pravrittam manaha. So the manaha, that is pravrittam, that is dedicated, that is following what? Anupravrittam, indriya vishaya vikalpana. Indriya vishaya vikalpana means choosing between the sense objects. Should I go for this or that? So it's sometimes not even a choice. There is a force, there is a pressure to succumb. There is a pressure to succumb to this or that. And so nothing suffices. One day this, another day that, the third day this, fourth day that. Like this one is keeping on, helplessly being tossed about in the realm of the sense objects, like even a boat that is capsizing in the strong winds. And then, asya yatehe, yatihi means yatnashilaha. Iti yatihi means the one who is working towards spiritual growth, emotional maturity. Emotional maturity and spiritual growth. That one, for that yati, harati prajnam. The knowledge is gone. The knowledge capsizes. And what is the knowledge? Atma anatma vivekajam prajnam. So the knowledge of the discrimination between the between the between the atma and anatma, between the I and the not I. So the mind follows the senses, and the senses are indulging in their own spheres of action. And then, and then each vishaya of each sense is following its own, each object, each sense organ is following its own object, and the mind is quartered trying to follow all this. How? An example is given. So, katham vayuhu navam iva ambhasi udake jigimishatam. Jigimisha. You know? So, um, jigimishat. So, jigimishatam. So, jigimishatam is desiring to go. Gantum ichha, jigimisha. So that it's so that word gantum ichha, the desire to go, jigimisha is made into a present participle, jigimishat, jigimishatam. So for the one desiring to go, jigimishatam, So udake jigimishitam margat uddhritya उन्मार्गे यथा वायुः नावं प्रवर्तयति एवं आत्मविषयां प्रज्ञां हत्वा मनः विषयां करोति. So udake jigimishatam vargat. So the boat has the boat or the small ship or whatever it is, usually a boat has a route. It is headed somewhere. It has an intention of going this way. But then what happens? Vayuhu, so the wind makes it swerve from the desired path. Jigimishatam margat, from its intended path, from its desired path, and makes it move uddhritya, having taken it out of its intended path. Unmarge means makes it move in an irregular way, makes it move in a completely different path. So it is wanting to go north, but then it turns it around. The wind has turned it around and put it on the southern path. Or it wants to go west and then it is going north instead. And so, like this, there is a complete turn from the intended route, and that is for the boat in the waters. And here the jiva in the troubled waters of the samsara, spurred by the sense organs, which the mind follows helplessly. Then what then that person loses track of the intended route, the intended goal, the intended destination, and then with a force is pushed back. Pushed back where? Pushed back to the world of sense organs, sense objects, etc., and all kinds of things that make one go towards something that is much more attractive, much more present, and much more objectifiable. Because you see, the moksha is not an object. Moksha is something besides. Moksha is something that you already have. Through jnanam you are going to ascertain how is it that I'm already free, through atma jnanam. So this moksha as a purushartha for many people is not always completely clear. So, therefore, what happens? It's easy to go for things that are actually objectifiable. I can see myself going for a holiday. It's tangible. Not that I'm saying you should not go for a holiday, but I'm saying that that as a way of being derailed from the pursuit, that is the problem. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go for a holiday or you shouldn't do this or that. That's not the idea. So if all those things are done while keeping moksha in view, then it becomes karma yoga. Because I'm doing all this, but in the process of all the desires I'm fulfilling, it is all for self growth. Iti, that kind of a prajna is there. That kind of a what's its name, that kind of a pragya means the awareness, the knowledge, the discrimination is there. So then it is okay because it comes within the realm of moksha or preparation for moksha. That is still purushartha nishchaya spurred, that is still actions spurred by purushartha nishchaya. But if that is lacking, if the purushartha nishchaya itself is lacking, then anything that is tangible, and moksha is the least tangible thing, Brahman is not at all tangible. So anything that is tangible, starting with chocolate cake, becomes extremely alluring. Extremely alluring. And so therefore what? So therefore I just, even without knowing, at least with some knowledge, if I turned the quest and said, I am no longer going to pursue this, I am going to pursue this, at least there is a volition. There is a intent there. There is a volition there. But here there is neither intent nor a volition, nor the use of the free will. Unintentionally, that mind which has followed the sense organs down the rabbit hole of dead end desires, thinking them to be permanent, thinking them to be infinite. So the mind that was in the quest of the infinite has infinitely started to graze in the finite objects, in the realm of finite objects. And so then what happens? Forcibly, the boat, symbolizing the jiva's resolve, is turned away from its intended marga. So then, Vishaya Vishayam Karoti means Atma Vishayam Prajnam Hatva. So losing the mind and the intellect from the intention for moksha, Atma Vishaya. So when Atma Vishaya Buddhi, so the Atma Vishayam Manaha, so that mind which was previously turned towards or proceeding along the route of Atma Vishaya, the subject matter of Atma as myself, Brahman as myself, that prajna, that resolve, having lost that resolve, Hatva, then Manaha Vishaya Vishayam. Vishaya Vishaya means the has become, the mind has become completely has turned awry from this goal and has become wedded to all kinds of useless objectives, which are dead end objectives and which are not going to lead one to Atma anymore. So yatatah api iti upanyastasya arthasya anekadha upapattim uktva tam artham upapadya upasamharati. Lots of upa here in the Bhashya. Let us see. So he concludes, he says that this is a subject matter that started yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitah indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. We saw that which this thing it was. Let's just look back here. Uh, Yatato Hyapikam, right in the beginning, before all this thing began, we had somewhere, you can look it up. Recently, we have done that. So, Yatataha api kaunteya, that subject matter which was beginning with the verse Yatataha api and iti upanyasya arthasya. So, that subject matter whose meaning was unfolded. यततो ह्यपि कौन्तेय पुरुषस्य विपश्चितः इन्द्रियाणि प्रमाथीनि हरन्ति प्रसभं मन तानि सर्वाणि संयम्य युक्त आसीत मत्परः and वशे हि यस्येन्द्रियाणि तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. So yatatah api kaunteya, he kaunteya. So, even for the one who is striving very hard to not get capsized from and hijacked from one's pursuit, even for the one striving very hard, yatataha api kaunteya, then the one is a vipaschit medhavi, the one who is a intelligent person, who understands, who has logic, and who is who can see the difference between atma and anatma, whose viveka is there. But the indriyas make a mistake, pramathini. The erring indriyas carry forcibly with them the mind and then the buddhi. That topic which was started with that verse has been unfolded anekadha, has been unfolded. The meaning of that arthasya anekadha upapattim uktva, having unfolded the meaning in manifold ways. Tam cha artham upapadya, and reiterating its meaning again in this verse upasamharati concludes. Where does it conclude? In the next verse. तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तस्माद्यस्य महाबाहो निगृहीतानि सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता तस्माद् यस्य तस्मात् therefore what yasya nigrihitani sarvashah. So sarvashah means from all sides, the ears, the eyes, everything. Nigrihitani indriyani means whose senses are disciplined, whose senses do not graze all the time in the land of the sense objects all the time. That too unbridled. And then we're just seeing the meaning. We'll see the we'll see the it in detail. So tasmad yasya sarvashah nigrihitani indriyani. Indriyani is sense organs. Nigrihitani from what? Indriyarthebhyah nigrihitani. Indriyarthebhyah, fifth case plural. So from all the objects, sensory objects, tasya prajna pratishtita. We can call that person who is as being steadfast in the knowledge of the Atma. See, now we are coming back to the what is what is that called, to the discussion of the we are coming back to the discussion of the person of knowledge here. So the definition of the person of knowledge, this is what we were talking about. And in between, Bhashyakara talks about how even even one who is a jnani want to be and who is on that path gets firmly many times firmly turned around because one is not firm in one's pursuit, and therefore one is hijacked by other pursuits. This is what we have just concluded. And so here the Bhagavan Krishna concludes this, and he says Mahabaho. Very interesting. He calls Arjuna by various names. Mahabaho means, oh you mighty armed strong one, oh you strong one, mighty armed one, strong one. And then what? Mighty armed one, strong one, and he has all these names. And mighty armed ones means you can vanquish lot of enemies. But what about these inner enemies in the form of raga and dveshas? Strong ragas, strong dveshas, strong preferences, strong prejudices that bother, that make life difficult, that make life miserable. What about all of them? So here you are a mighty armed one. You have got that epithet in society by being brave and by vanquishing lot of troublemakers. But Arjuna, it's almost like a sarcastic. He's throwing shade at Arjuna and saying, you know what, what about these inner troublemakers? The time has come to direct your bravery, your courage to taking care of these inner troublemakers. These troublemakers, who is going to take care of? You yourself has to take care of these and strong preferences, prejudices that take you away from the goal. And so indriyanam indriyani nigrihitani sarvashah. Sarvashah means the mind, the buddhi, all of them are on a diet of discipline. So here, of course, we have seen this in detail. So this is just the conclusion. And then here we are, when you say nigrihitani, reined in, that's what. Nigraha, pragraha means reins. So the indriyas are reined in. Doesn't mean that I can't enjoy something. But are you enjoying it, or is the object enjoying, making a spectacle of you? That is the idea. Because often you think you're enjoying something. But then what is the problem here? You have no say at all. There is just a patterned understanding. There is a patterned way of how the indriyas just derail, bringing the mind, bringing the buddhi. This is talked about in the Ratha Kalpana in the Kathopanishad beautifully. In fact, the Gita has borrowed the whole imagery of the Gita with Arjuna sitting and then Krishna sitting in the front of the chariot, etc., is borrowed from this Ratha Kalpana imagery, which sets out this whole delineation between the Buddhi, Manaha, and Indriyani very, very well. So what is the idea here? In the Ratha Kalpana, we have the chariot imagery. Atmanam rathinam vidhi shariram Atmanam rathinam vidhi shariram rathamevatu buddhim tu sarathim vidhi manaf pragrahameva cha indriyani hayanyahuhu vishayamsteshu gocharan आत्मेन्द्रियमनो बुद्धिः भोक्ता इत्याहुर्मनीषिणः. So the whole thing is set up. In the first couple of verses, the entire imagery, the chariot imagery is set up. And what is this chariot imagery? Atmanam rathinam vidhi. The passenger in the chariot is the jiva, Atma, who is thinking himself, herself to be the jiva. That is the one who says I'm finite and all these things. So the Atma with a complex, so the Atma as though endowed, as though, okay, Atma can never be, never have even a whiff of ajnanam, but here it's the jiva, the ahankara that has embraced the atma ajnanam, and that is the one which is called jiva. And so this jiva, the rathaswami. So the rathaswami, the owner of the chariot. Know this Atma to be the owner of the chariot, but the owner of the chariot is not enlightened to one's own truth. And so he's saying, I am finite, I am small, I am of no consequence. And so Atmanam Rathinam Vidhi. Know this person to be the owner of the chariot. And then Shariram Rathameva tu. Shariram, the body is Ratha alone. The body is what? Ratha. The Sharira is Ratha. The body is Ratha. The body is the chariot. That's why the wheels are squeaky, the knees are screaming in pain, and the joints are, the joint needs to be oiled all the time. So, Shariram Rathamevatu. Buddhim tu sarathim vidhi. So this apparatus of the chariot needs a driver. Without a driver, the chariot cannot go forward. So that which drives this chariot, remember what is the chariot? The body. And then who is the owner of the chariot? Rathaswami is the ahankara, the I notion, which is really the Atma. When it understands that it is the Atma, then there is no problem. Here it is just the imagery to show this. So the buddhi needs a drive, the buddhi is the driver. The driver in the Bhagavad Gita is Lord Krishna, is the buddhi. Very, very beautiful. So Shariram Rathamevatu Buddhin tu Sarathim Vidhi. Manaha, the mind, is the restraint, the reins. The reins to what? The horses, which are the five sense organs, that's why in the Bhagavad Gita we have five horses. So the five sense organs are the horses. And then why are they called horses? Vishayams teshu gocharan. Because they love grazing in the grasses of the sense objects. And if you allow them to graze, and then the chariot will just go in different directions, and the chariot will break. So the chariot has to be gathered. The horses have to be gathered to take the chariot to the destination. The chariot has to ride on the road of dharma and has to go to this destination, which is moksha. That is the idea. But here, the chariot, the imagery is being set up. So then, this combination of Atma, Indriya, Manaha, Buddhi, Ahankara, all these combination is called Bhokta. Bhokta means the one who is a Karta in order to become a Bhokta. That's what it is. Bhokta means the one who does in order to enjoy the fruits of one's labors. I am the experiencer, and then sometimes cries and sometimes weeps, sometimes is happy, sometimes is sad, sometimes is all over the place. Sometimes cries, sometimes happy, sometimes weeps, sometimes gets thrown off, sometimes is all over the place. This is the fellow. This is the person. Aham bhokta. Helplessly, I am just in the reveling in these horses and whatever the horses are bringing. Whatever the horses are, wherever the horses are going, I am going. And the mind is all over the place because the mind has left the hands of the buddhi, and the mind is grazing along with the horses. When the buddhi follows, then the whole person is destroyed. We saw that. And so here, the nigrihitani reminds one of this pragraham. Pragraham means the horses of the Bhagavad Gita, and in the imagery of the Bhagavad Gita, you find that the horses are being held with the reins in Lord Krishna's hand, and Lord Krishna is turning towards Arjuna, the jiva, and then giving instructions. So the buddhi is teaching here. Buddhi in the form of the Lord is teaching the jiva that about its nature. So then the Bhashya here for verse number 68 says, Indriyanam pravrittau doshah upapaditah yasmat tasmat yasya yatehe he mahabaho nigrihitani sarvashah sarvaprakaraihi manasadi bhedaihi indriyani इंद्रियार्थेभ्यः शब्दादिभ्यः तस्य प्रज्ञा प्रतिष्ठिता. Adi Shankara has spent a lot of time explaining all these things, and since this is the concluding verse, just has a tiny bit of bhashya. What is the tiny bit of bhashya? The tiny bit of bhashya is Indriyanam pravrittau doshah. So pravrittav means in the functioning of the sense organs, in the realm of in the functioning of the sense organs, reveling in the sense objects, doshaha upapaditaha. The problems, the fallacy, and the difficulties have already been established in the previous verses. The fallacy has been shown. Therefore, O mighty armed one, you who is very good at what? You who are very, very good at delineating the enemies, outer enemies. When are you going to take care of these inner troublemakers and vanquish the tendency to always be tempted by and revel in the objects of the senses, When are you going to do that? That is the idea. That's why he reminds him, you are Mahabaho, you should do this as well. And so the difficulties in the sense organs capsizing, and then taking the mind along with them away from the goal of moksha has been shown. Therefore, Mahabaho Nigrihitani Sarvashah. So, the knowledge of the practitioner, the knowledge of the person whose senses, like the mind is included in the senses, have been Sarvashah under all situations. Under all situations, all difficulties, disciplined from following useless, dead end pursuits. People do this all the time. Sometimes people study Vedanta for a long time and then suddenly say, I want to do something else. What else is there to do? You know? And one was thinking that, okay, after one would think that after so many years of study, the knowledge is established, the knowledge is complete, the knowledge is full, etc. One would think, but that is not the case. That is not at all the case. And so, therefore, suddenly something else happens. Somebody I knew said that I'm going, or had even done a long-term course with Pujya Swamiji, 3 years or something, had studied in the ashram. And after that said, oh, I think I want to go. Everything is Ishvara, everything is Atma. So now I'm going to go follow the stock market and do this. Nothing wrong, but still, it was just completely, it was as though those 3 years had been erased. There was no effect of the study. Became just another haggled and hassled person in the stock market industry. Got very, very tired, stressed out, and was no different from somebody who had not studied Vedanta at all. So these are all examples that we have seen. Suddenly, the mind goes somewhere, the Indriyas first go, and then some insecurity they catch hold of, and the mind goes, the Buddhi goes, and then and then the pursuit itself is gone. So then, so that is and then introducing the next verse is very important. It is very, very beautiful, and it has I think it has a long bhashya. Yeah, it has some bhashyakara has some lots of things to say about it, because it is an important verse, and it is also very cryptic, so people don't quite understand what this means. The verse people don't understand, and so, since it is cryptic, he introduces the verse by saying, Yaha ayam laukikaha vaidikascha vyavaharaha sa utpanna viveka jnanasya sthita prajnasya avidyakaryatvat avidyanivrittau nivartate. अविद्यायाः च विद्याविरोधात् निवृत्तिः इति एतम् अर्थं स्फुटीकुर्वन् आह. To make this idea clear, what this idea sputi kurvan means, to make it extremely clear. To make what extremely clear? To make it clear that for such a person who is established in knowledge, sthita prajna, who has discrimination, and who has viveka vijnana, who has discrimination and knowledge, and then so all the conventional activities, scriptural activities, Vaidika. So, all the Laukika, Vaidika, Vyavahara, the activities that are what is that? The activities that are born of aviveka, such as doing this, doing that, here, going to dead end pursuits, taking to dead end pursuits, which are the products of ignorance, come to end. Avidya karyatvat, because they are products of ignorance, they come to an end. Why? Avidya nivrittau nivartate. When the avidya is gone, they themselves come to an end. Avidyayaha cha vidyavirodhat nivrittihi iti etam artham sphuti kurvan. So avidyayaha cha, furthermore, what is that? The, the person has freed themselves from ignorance, and ignorance is opposite of self knowledge. To make this idea clear, to clarify how ignorance and self knowledge have nothing to do with one another, the next verse is talked about. We'll just see this, and next week we'll see this in detail, okay? Ya nisha sarvabhutanam tasyaam jagarti samyami yasyam jagrati bhutani सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः या निशा सर्वभूतानां तस्यां जागर्ति संयमी यस्यां जाग्रति भूतानि सा निशा पश्यतो मुनेः. या निशा, that that which is night, that which is night for whom? Sarva Bhutana, all the beings. In that Sanyami, the Jnani, the one who has self restraint, etc., as we talked about earlier, Jagarti, Tasyam Jagarti. In that night, the Jnani is awake. So, from this, what can we conclude? The Jnani is an insomniac, doesn't go to sleep when other people are sleeping. No, 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 that's not the idea. This is a very deep verse full of wonderful things. And so, meaning the reality to which all the other people are awake, for to that reality, the jnani is fast asleep. That is the idea. Then yasyam jagrati bhutani, that to which the other people are awake, that to which the other people are awake, the reality to which the other people are awake, shopping and malls and balls and all these kinds of things, dead end pursuits, going here, going there, and doing this, doing that. Then sa nisha pashyato munehe. The muni, the jnani, is snoring to that reality, fast asleep to that reality. So that is night and day. That is the idea. It's a very beautiful verse, and then we can see it next time. Okay, so let me say the closing prayer, and then I'll explain what went on today. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.